Welcome to this session of Materials Engineering. Myself, Anirban Sarkar, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering of JIS College of Engineering, Kolkata. Today's session, we will discuss about that creep and impact testing, which comes under the module 2, that is mechanical properties of materials. The learning outcome: after completion of this session, one can understand the importance of creep and impact testing in industry and while research and development. So first of all, we will discuss about that creep testing. So in this figure, a schematic representation of creep testing equipment is shown. So although the usual method of creep testing consists of subjecting the specimen at constant tensile stresses at constant temperature and measuring the extent of deformation or strain with time. So in this schematic diagram as shown, this creep testing equipment, though it appears to be very simple, it requires considerable laboratory equipment, a great care and precision in performance. The time for each test may be a matter of hour, week, month, or even years. Creep is also determined in compression, shear, and bending. The data is presented by plotting the creep curve as deformation versus time at constant temperature and stress. The test specimen may be circular, square, or rectangular in cross section. Either a continuous record of deformation with time or sufficient number of deformation regarding with time should be taken over the entire period of testing. The strain generally lies between 0.1 to 1%, and the period of testing does not exceed 10,000 hours. If the creep is continued until fracture occurs, the test is called as creep rupture test. It determines the time necessary for fracture of test specimen. When a load is applied at the beginning of the creep, the instantaneous elastic deformation occurs. So we are moving to the next slide. Creep can be defined as a slow and progressive deformation of material with time under a constant stress at temperature above 0.4 of Tm, where Tm is the melting point of the material. Most of the metal exhibits creep at high temperature. However, some metals like lead, tin, etc. have low melting point, so creep at room temperature. Creep is thermally activated process and hence it is a function of temperature and time. The creep behavior of metals is important in determining their suitability for a continuous high temperature service under stressed conditions. For example, metal for jet engine component, gas and steam turbine, nuclear reactor, and tungsten filaments for electric bulbs. Creep strength of a material is at the highest stress that the material can withstand for a specified length of time without exceeding the specified deformation at a given temperature. It is also called creep limit. Creep rupture strength or simply rupture strength of a material is the highest stress that the material can withstand for a specified length of time without rupture. Now next is creep behavior. Now creep behavior, when a load is applied at the beginning of a creep test, the instantaneous elastic deformation AB occurs as shown. The elastic deformation is followed by primary or transient creep, that is denoted as B to C, then by secondary or steady creep C to D, and finally by tertiary or accelerated creep, that is D to E. The above three regions of creep curve are essentially due to the following two effects. Due to application of stress, strain hardening occurs in the specimen which tries to decrease the deformation. And due to high temperature, annealing or softening of specimen occurs which tries to increase the deformation. So the diagram above in the earlier figure shown as a function of time. The proportion are split as primary, secondary and tertiary curve. In the beginning, the rate of strain is high and then stabilize due to work hardening. In the second segment, that is C to D, the strain is minimum and nearly constant, which happens as a result of balance between annealing and work hardening. The tertiary segment D to E is similar to that necking phenomena observed when metals are tension tested in universal testing machine. The strain versus time graph are plotted with constant load applied at constant temperature. Shape of creep curve will depend on the level of temperature and stresses involved. If the temperature is remained constant, the creep curve will shift upwards and to the left with increasing applied stresses. If the creep test is carried out at various temperatures but at a constant stress level, the creep rate will increases with increasing temperature. See here, with the rate of deformation, that is strain with respect to time, is given, that is dE by dt equal to C, that is constant, and C into sigma to the power n m by d to the power b into e to the power minus q by kt, where this e is creep strain, C is the creep constant that depends on the material and creep mechanisms, M and B are exponents depends on creep mechanisms. Q, activation energy of the creep mechanism. Sigma is the applied stress, D is the grain size of the material, K is the Boltzmann constant, and T is the absolute temperature. So the creep is accordingly that is divided into three stages, that is primary creep. In primary creep, strain rate decreases as strain increases. Resistance to plastic deformation, that is strain hardening, occurs. Deformation becomes more ductile at the material as the material is strained. Stage 2, that is steady state creep, this part is used as design the tool or for designing purpose, which is subjected at high temperature and high stress condition. This part is very much important. Here strain rate is minimum and constant. Balance between recovery, that is strain hardening, is equal and fracture will not occur. The material becomes softer and retains its ability to experience deformation. Now third stage, that is the tertiary creep, that is the failure rupture, that is strain rate increases, reduction in cross section. Failure, that is due to microstructure and or metallurgical changes, example grain boundary separation, and the formation of internal cracks, cavities and voids. The deformation processes in creep which occurs at elevated temperature are due to dislocation movement known as slip. At increasing temperature, slip systems are more available, that is new slip system may become operative. Example, for aluminum FCC system, that is FCC crystal structure system, above 500 degree Fahrenheit, slip planes, that is 111, 100 or 211, slip bands produced at high temperature are coarser and more widely spaced than for the room temperature deformation. Number 2, grain boundary sliding. Grain boundary sliding is a type of shear process along the grain boundaries, providing a non-uniform amount of shear displacement. The formation of subgrain has been studied by X-ray, metallography and thin film electron microscopy. Subgrain formation, the formation of subgrain normally in the adjacent of grain boundary results from lattice distortion. This allows dislocation with opposite signs to form the subgrains. At elevated temperature, the grain in polycrystalline metals are above metals are able to move relative to each other. Boundary sliding is the shear process which occurs in the direction of grain boundary. So in the above three regions of creep are essentially due to the following two effects. Due to the application of strain hardening occurs in the specimen which tries to decrease the deformation. Due to high temperature, annealing or softening of specimen occurs which tries to increase the deformation. At the beginning, strain hardening effect supersedes the softening effect, and hence during primary and transient creep, deformation is observed at a decreased rate. During the secondary or steady state creep, constant and minimum creep rate is observed due to equilibrium between the strain hardening effect and the annealing effect. The tertiary or the accelerated creep occurs at a fast rate and actually represents a process of progressive damage to intercrystalline region by the formation of voids or heavy oxidation of metal, leading to fracture of the materials. The creep test may be carried out at different temperature and different stress level. For each test, minimum creep rate is determined by measuring slope of the creep curve in the secondary creep region as shown. So minimum creep rate, that is del E by del T. The obtained creep rates are then plotted against the corresponding stresses on a log-log plot, which gives a linear relationship between the stress and the minimum creep rate at a constant temperature. By the similar procedure, plots can be obtained at different temperature as shown in figure. So here in this figure, it shows that stress versus minimum creep rate plotted on a double logarithmic scale at various temperature for annealed phosphorus deoxidized copper. So from this figure, it is seen that creep rate is much faster at the elevated temperature. That means as the temperature increases, the creep rate, that is, it depends on the stress. And if the stress increases, the creep rate is also increases. So here each line represents the change of minimum creep rate with a variable stress at constant temperature. From such graphs, it is possible to estimate creep rates at various stresses and temperature. Such a creep data is required for structural material for their use under different service conditions. The minimum creep rate is highly sensitive to temperature and is related by the following equation, that is del E by del T, that is A into e to the power minus E by RT, where E is the activation energy, R is the gas constant, T is the temperature in Kelvin, A is the constant, and small e is the base of Napier logarithms. Now, the effect of temperature on creep curve at constant stress are shown. So, with the increase in temperature, the creep rate, that is instantaneous creep, is much faster and is very high. And with the high temperature increases, the secondary region of the creep zone, which is the design part, that minimizes, and the tertiary region, the rate of increase in failure rate increases at faster rate, that increases with the increase in high temperature. The relation between the minimum creep rate and stress at constant temperature is as follows, that is del E by del T equal to B into sigma to the power n, where sigma is the stress, B is constant, and n is constant. Values of B or n are characteristics of each materials. The effect of stress on the creep curves at constant temperature are also shown here. So here we can see that at constant temperature for lower stress, the secondary region of the creep is much lower, much stable. And with the increasing in the high stress, that secondary region is shortened and the tertiary region is increases. The steady state creep may be essentially viscous or plastics in character, depending on stress level and temperature. Generally, higher the temperature and stress level, more viscous is the creep. Application of creep in engineering. While designing components, it is necessary to select the material which can withstand the opening condition that the component will be exposed to. Therefore, it is necessary to acquire design parameters such as creep strength from experiment. The creep strength can be defined as the stress at a given temperature to produce a steady state creep rate of a fixed amount, that is normally at 10 to the power minus 11 to 10 to the power minus 8 per second, or the stress to produce creep strain at 1% of total creep strain at a given test temperature, usually 1000, 10,000 or 1 lakh hours. So the application is for a jet engine. It is found that creep 1% in 10,000 hours, and for steam generator also 1% at 1 lakh hours. Next, we will discuss about that impact testing. So in this figure, the impact testing equipment is shown. Impact test, that means we are applying here sudden load to the specimen at room temperature. So here a pointer is there as shown, which will be first of all fixed at some distances where the specimen need to be heated. So while it is positioned at a particular condition which is much higher than the job specimen, so it gains some potential energy. And suitably, after spacing the specimen in the holder or in the jaw, these pointers are released. The pointer contains a heavy hammer and which strikes the specimen due to its high velocity. And due to that, the materials fails, and we determine through the standard practice with the scale, etc., that how much energy a material is absorbed before its failing. Under certain situations, a ductile material fails in brittle manner in service, and such failure is characteristic by low absorption of energy. The factor which contributes to the brittle type of failure are triaxial state of stress, low temperature, high strain rate. The brittle failure may result due to presence of any or the combination of these factors in sufficient magnitude. Therefore, the susceptibility of material for brittle failure under existence of these factors is determined by such tests which apply fast load like impact loads. A triaxial state of stress is developed at the root of a notch, and hence notch specimen are used in this test. The tendency of brittle failure is the presence of notch is called notch sensitivity. The effect due to temperature is associated by specimen at low temperature, the temperature at which ductile material fails in brittle manner is called ductile brittle transition temperature. So there are two types of test. Impact test is widely used, Charpy and IZOD. Charpy impact test is widely used in United States and IZOD impact test in Great Britain for this purpose. Purpose for Charpy and IZOD test as applied to metal have been standardized as per ASTM E23 or IS 1499 and 1598. In each case, a certain mass is released from some distances above the impact point which strikes the specimen. The kinetic energy of the head at the moment of impact is which is equal to the potential energy of the head before it releases. That is potential energy, that is mgh, that is m is the mass of tub or head, v is the tangential velocity of the tub at the point of impact, g is the gravitational acceleration, and h is the height of drop. From this, it will be seen that drop height determines the velocity and drop height and mass jointly determine the energy. For different test and materials, different level of kinetic energy and tangential velocity at a point of impact are required, and hence this can be achieved by changing the mass of the head and the position of the pendulum arm before release. So as shown in this figure, the schematic diagram and the plan view of an anvil with specimen. A typical machine which has head weighing of suppose 20.932 kg and length of arm 0.825 meter. On this machine, both Charpy and IZOD test can be carried out by changing the heads and specimen fixing arrangement. For Charpy test, pendulum is released from at an angle nearly 140 degree, that is drop height corresponding to, if we measure, 1.457 meter. For IZOD test, the pendulum weight is 21.79 kg, is released from an angle nearly 85 degree, 21 minute, and which height corresponding to the 0.759 meter. A pointer is provided on a semicircular dial which indicates the position of pendulum. The energy needed to break the specimen is directly recorded by the pendulum on the dial. This value is measured of toughness. The calibration of dial is according to the following equation. That is, initial energy of the pendulum equal to energy necessary to fracture the specimen plus swing energy of the pendulum. So here the mgh equal to the toughness of the material and mgh dash. Toughness is measured, that is kg meter, and where w is the weight of the pendulum, h is the original height of the pendulum, and h dash is the swing height of the pendulum. Now in this following figure, that is Charpy and IZOD test piece are shown. While the Charpy test, the material is placed in a in the anvil as a cantilever beam, and the striker is heated just opposite side of the notch. The dimensions are, that is, in between the anvil nearly 40 centimeter, and at the middle part a 2 millimeter notch is required, V or U notch, V type notch or U type notch. Striker that impacts on the specimen on the back side of the notch. For an ISO test, the sample is kept as an cantilever beam, while the Charpy test is in simply supported beam. That is, it is supported by two ends. So in ISO test, the following, that is, striker will strike at the upper portion of the job specimen, which is nearly 5 centimeter to 8 centimeter inside the specimen from the top, and will strike in the notch side, on the notch side. And the job specimen is also given by, that is 10 by 10 into 75 centimeter, and from the top of the 25 millimeter a notch is cut, and it is placed in such a way in the anvil, so it will be kept as an cantilever beam when the half of the notch is from the up of the anvil. Effect of temperature on impact property. The effect of temperature on impact resistance is shown in this figure. A certain temperature, below a certain temperature, the failures are brittle, and above this they are ductile. So while these impact tests are done in the room temperature, that is, a ductile material will fail, and fracture will be in brittle type. But while the temperature is increases, the failure of brittlity will convert it to ductile. The mode of fracture changes at some temperature or in certain temperature range. The temperature and temperature range is called transition temperature or transition temperature range. The ductile brittle transition temperature depends on crystal structure, grain size, alloying elements, impurities, strain hardening rate, microstructure of the material, type of test, and type of notch used in the test. So in the following figure, the following are observations. In general, BCC structure material have more transition temperature than FCC structure. Coarse grain steel have more transition temperature than fine grain steel. Ferrite grain size sharply influence transition temperature. Plain carbon steel have higher transition temperature than similar alloy steel, and increasing carbon, the transition temperature increases. Some of the alloying elements like nickel, manganese effectively lower the transition temperature, where phosphorus sharply increases the transition temperature. When carbide or ferrite is outlining grain boundary, transition temperature is raised. A mixed microstructure caused by improper heat treatment also increases transition temperature. Of all microstructures, ferrite has highest transition temperature, and pearlite, brainite, and tempered martensite have a slightly lower transition temperature. Now, procedure to do impact test: measure the dimensions of a specimen, also measure the dimension of the notch. Raise the hammer to the elevated point and note down the initial reading from the dial, which will be the energy to be used to fracture the specimen. Place the specimen for test and see that it is placed center with respect to hammer. Check the position of the notch. Release the hammer and note the final reading. Difference between the initial and final reading will give the actual energy required to fracture the specimen. Repeat the test for specimen of others material. Compute the energy of rupture of each specimen. So with this, we are likely to conclude this session. These are the references. Thank you for joining this session.